Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video where we're going to talk about the creatures that live in our oceans. Here we have 3 different specimens. We're going to learn in a fun way, using these figures and, above all, with several books and encyclopedias. For example, here we have the Encyclopedia of Sea Animals. I love using it because inside we have very interesting information about a wide variety of animals. For example, here on these pages, we have information about the narwhal and the walrus. And it also comes with these amazing images, where we can see what their world is like. On the surface, as you can see, we have blocks of ice, and there are walruses, which are known for having these huge tusks. They live in groups or herds, but under the ocean, we have the great narwhal. As you can see, they are known for having this big horn, which is why they are also called sea unicorns. However, a very interesting fact that is specified here in the encyclopedia is that actually only the males can have this big horn, not the females. Well, now let's take a look at the 3 specimens we have to talk about in today's video. First, we'll talk about the great orca, one of the largest predators in the ocean. We also have a squidlino, and finally, the great blue whale, which is the largest mammal in our oceans. And here we have the great orca. As you can see, the figure is large and also of very good quality. It comes articulated in the tail area, the fins, and the jaw, which, as you can see, we can open and close. One striking feature of the figure is that it comes with this platform that simulates a coral reef. If we turn it around, we can see that the platform underneath is hollow in the back. I would have liked it to be more rigid. It's also attached with this screw, which I suppose we can remove to separate the figure of the orca from the coral reef. And now, shall we talk about the physical characteristics of the orca? It's large in size, it can reach about 10 meters in length, and it's also a type of mammal. What does that mean? Well, it means that the babies are born from the mother's womb and not from eggs. And also, they don't have gills to breathe underwater, but instead they have lungs. So they have to come up to the surface to breathe oxygen. They do it through this opening located right on the top of their head, just like dolphins. And that's because the orca is related to both the dolphin and the whale, which is why it has similarities to both. As you can see, something very characteristic of the orca and what sets it apart from other marine animals is its colors. As you know, it is black all over the top with some white spots, and the entire underside is a light color. In the encyclopedia, these pages talk about both the orca and the sea lion, which we have on the left side, but we are going to focus on the orca. It tells us that its dorsal fin can reach about 1.8 meters high. In addition, they live in groups of about 20 individuals, so they are not solitary animals. The most important thing is that it's a super predator. They are even capable of eating whales and dolphins. And I wanted to show you this other book, because it comes with real photographs of orcas. Also, I prefer to see animals in the wild. Here, we can see how it can jump above the surface of the water. And, as I mentioned, it's related to the dolphin. And you know, dolphins love to do tricks. Here, we can see a mother with her calf. When they're born, the calves can already be about 2.5 meters long. Impressive. Also, another interesting fact is that you won't find orcas in just any kind of sea or ocean, because they live in very specific areas. Icy places, where it's extremely cold. Here we can see in the background a mountainous area with snow on the top. Therefore, they don't live in warm seas, but in cold sea areas. And we're continuing to learn about the second specimen today, which is a giant squid that's here resting on this rock, since they love to get into all the rocky crevices. As you can see, the figure is impressive. I really like it because, besides being large, it comes with a lot of details. Look, it has different textures and colors, and you can move the upper part. Also, we can clearly see its big eyes and its tentacles, which, as you know, are full of suckers on the underside. The giant squid is the largest invertebrate that exists. It has, as I mentioned, gigantic eyes. They are as big as its head. That's why it has such sharp vision. As for the tentacles, it has a total of 8 tentacles, and its suckers can measure about 5 centimeters in diameter. It uses the 2 longest ones to hunt. We can see it represented very well in this figure. It has these shorter tentacles, while the long ones are also wider at the tip and can catch large prey with them. Also, an interesting fact is that the female is usually much larger than the male. It can reach an approximate length of about 18 meters from its head to the end of its tentacles. In addition, it feeds on other squids and fish, and lives in the open sea, between 200 and 1,000 meters deep. For this reason, until very recently, giant squids had not been found, recorded, or photographed. In reality, only a few corpses had been found washed up on the seashore. But since 2006, it has been possible to photograph and film some giant squids at unimaginable depths. And on these pages, we find very interesting information about both the sperm whale and the giant squid. It specifies that the giant squid is a type of mollusk. Also, regarding the sperm whale, it tells us that adult male specimens were about 20 meters long. Therefore, the sperm whale measured about 20 meters and the giant squid, with its long tentacles, about 18 meters, so they were more or less similar in size. Now it's time to learn about the largest animal on our planet, the great blue whale. We have a figure that's very similar or in the same style as the previous ones, so we can move the tail up and down, and let's bring it closer to see all the details. Look how beautiful it is. As you can see, its skin color is dark, grayish, and black, but it also has these little white spots that are barely noticeable. Also, it can move its large fins and open its jaw, revealing all the details inside, like its tongue, for example. The figure comes with this platform that simulates a wave. That means that the blue whale also loves to make big jumps, just like dolphins and orcas do. And now let's give a little information about the blue whale. As I mentioned before, it's a type of mammal. What does that mean? That their babies are born from the mother's womb and that they breathe through lungs? Therefore, they need to come up to the surface and breathe oxygen through these holes they have on the top of their heads. Here we can see it better. Unlike the dolphin and the orca, which only have one hole, the blue whale has 2. Also, just so you can get an idea of its size when it reaches adulthood, they can reach about 33 meters in length from the tip of their mouth to the end of their tail and weigh approximately 150 tons. Do you know what that means? That's roughly the equivalent of the weight of about 25 elephants. In the Encyclopedia, we find very interesting information about the whale. It tells us that, having such a great length and weight of approximately 100 tons, when whales die and fall to the bottom of the ocean, they become an incredible source of food for the other animals and organisms in the ocean. It tells us that it can remain as a food source for about 10 years after its death. Also, as a very interesting fact, it tells us that in a single whale vertebra, up to 178 different species of organisms have been found, some of which had never been seen before. Therefore, it is an interesting source of information. And now, if we finished with today's video, here we have the 3 specimens we've learned about today, all of them inhabitants of our oceans. If you enjoyed today's video and want to see more information about other types of animals, you can help me by giving me a super like, a thumbs up, and I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. This way, you also help me so I can keep creating lots of free content for all of you. And now, should I say goodbye? See you in the next video with more amazing animals. Goodbye!